You're I'm not hearing you and you're not hearing me.
Sometimes you just have to listen without having to respond.
Do you want me to start it? You want me to go?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to our Unscripted Together podcast. It's your host, Danny, and my wife, Jessica.
Hi, guys. Welcome.
This is episode number 3 for us, and we're excited to keep sharing knowledge, experience, relationship advice, anything that we can bring of value, considering we've been together 20 years and counting.
Yes.
So thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, we have a lot of information to share, and we are excited to communicate with the YouTube community. Please subscribe to our channel, drop a comment on anything we can do better, any suggestions, any topics you want us to talk about. And we're just here to connect with the YouTube family.
Absolutely. Welcome, guys. Thank you for tuning in again. So going into our topic of today.
Today's topic of conversation is...
You came up with the wonderful name.
Today's topic of conversation is how to fight right.
Yes.
Within a relationship. And this is predominantly for relationships. You could be married, you could be boyfriend and girlfriend, but you can also kind of apply these talking points within friends, family.
Yes. Anytime you have a disagreement with someone, I think there are key points to keep in mind.
Yes. Co-workers, maybe your boss, or if you're an entrepreneur, your employees. I feel like there's ways to fight and argue and still have a successful outcome.
Right.
Because I feel like that's the biggest challenge. We get so focused on winning the argument and forgetting what the argument is about. And at the end of the day, you want to essentially, I would rather win the battle than win the argument. I would rather us have a successful outcome. Again, whether that's me and you, me and one of our children, me and one of a coworker, me and my mother. We get so focused and so zoned in on I'm right, you're wrong, on being the person that's you have a point to prove, and it's just like, is it really worth it?
Right. I think the parameter behind it is always the person. We're both trying to be correct, right? Two people, when you're having the argument, that's essentially why it happens, because you feel your point is more valid or you want the other person to hear you. But I think the important part is that a lot of times is missed is that you're talking past each other. So when I say that, I'm literally seeing words being thrown, right? Now, because now you get to a point where like the words seem violent. Not that you're physically being violent, but the words are so aggressive, and your tone and all the things that come with being so heated in like a heated argument, that now like it's like you're throwing jabs, right? That's where that kind of term comes from, where it's like you're just throwing words at each other, and it's like I'm not hearing you and you're not hearing me. So I think at that point, people have to stop and realize the darkness behind that, right? The devil is there to try to get us to be like this.
And you just touched on something real valid. You said, you're not even hearing me, right? And I think people forget that sometimes you just have to listen without having to respond.
Right.
Right?
That's the hard part.
Because when you listen to someone, we're known and we're programmed to respond right away. But sometimes you don't have to respond.
Right.
Just hear the other person's piece, hear what they have to say, and maybe respond later in the day. Maybe come back to it,
But that's the super tricky part, because people feel like their voice needs to be heard. Like you have like desire to be like, no, but wait, because I have to tell you, you have to listen to my part. And it's like the yearning to be heard is what creates more animosity in that moment, where you're like, I'm right, but you have to listen to me because I'm right because of X, Y, and Z. So we have we had a fight the other day, and
Yeah, why you want to bring up old stuff?
it was
Yeah.
so silly. It was silly, and I knew it was silly. But I think it'll help people because I think that. Wait, what's happening?
No,
Oh, I thought that froze.
it did, but it's still
Oh,
recording.
okay.
Unscripted.
Sorry. I
Unscripted. This
just
is live. She just saw the monitor. The monitor's frozen.
I was like,
But
why am I not moving in
but
the
it's
monitor?
still recording.
Okay. So I think what I was saying is I think that it'll help people to see real life things that happen between us in a constructive way where we can even reflect from it. And if when you can come back to something that made you so upset in the moment and then be like, damn, that was really stupid of me to have said that. And we honestly haven't, we've come to a point where we can talk through our disagreements, but this one got heated, and I have to take ownership for the fact that I got really, really passionate about what I was saying. And it was wrong. It was, what I was saying wasn't wrong. Wait, I kind of want my water. I wasn't, it wasn't the, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Did you hear what I said?
You said it wasn't what you were saying or something. Listen, at the end of the day, I think what you're trying to say is that when you're in the middle of an argument, you have to not focus so much on what it is you're trying to say. Sometimes it's the delivery, right? Because if it comes out, remember, you got to remember, a lot of people, I've heard this plenty of times on the internet, and I believe some people have told me this in the past, but words are like weapons. So, what are you gonna hit with? The knife, the 9mm, the bazooka, the tank. So it's just like you have to be careful how you address the issue, and
Yes.
what words, what weapon you choose to fight this argument with. Because some things you can't come back from. And for reference, you can shoot someone and they can go to the hospital and get stitches and come back. But you can also shoot someone and kill them. And if you translate that to words and you translate that to what we're talking about, there's some words you just can't come back from.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you have to take yourself out of the argument and reflect. If you have the willpower to, at that moment, to come back and fix and correct what you're saying, great. If you don't, and you're not in the right state of mind, come back to it. Because it could potentially be catastrophic.
Right.
And you might not be able to come back from what you're going to say.
Right.
So,
And I think that having that willpower that God has given you, of, like what he said, choose your words wisely. So if you're going to be arguing, if you're going to get to a point where you're screaming, just stop. You need to, let's just stop, walk away.
yeah.
Because it is very hard, right? We're not perfect. We try to live our lives in a different way than when we were younger. Because I feel like when you're younger, you're learning life. And it was, when we started, we used to have really heated arguments all the time. But throughout time, we've learned what works for us and what doesn't, right? And being together for so long, we've known how not to do things.
And we got to be honest and transparent with each other. Like, fights are going to happen.
Right.
No one's perfect. You can be the happiest man in the world. You could be the happiest woman in the world. You can be in the happiest relationship that you've ever been. You could be the happiest relationship in your inner circle. You will still fight.
Right.
You will still argue. Having a successful marriage, and again, I'm trying to use this not just for marriage, but with life in general, having a successful relationship, again, whether it's at home, at work, anywhere, is being able to navigate through the argument.
Yes.
If you can't navigate through the argument, then you have bigger problems.
Right.
Right? Your problem isn't that one problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not what we're arguing about today. I got bigger issues because, we can't figure our problems out. That's a whole different topic of conversation.
Yeah, like I think when arguments get to like the screaming and the shouting and all this negativity, there's always like underlying reasons, like bigger reasons than that small topic that you're discussing, that you're arguing about. And I think people need to understand and keep this in mind. And if you're listening to this, you're here for a reason. I think that people need to realize that winning the argument, do you want to win the argument, or do you want to lose your marriage, or do you want to lose your relationship? Just think about, let that sink in for a little bit. And I think that that puts a lot of things into perspective. Like, I love this man. So the argument that we had, right, it got me shouting. I was like, I haven't done this in so long. Like, I felt horrible. I literally was like, why did I do that? That was
Let
so ugly of
let
me. That was like, so, that was, and then you were shouting as well, but I'll take accountability from my part. And I was like, that was so wrong. Like, I didn't agree with the way you went about it either, but I also had a part and I didn't do any better.
You want to touch on what the argument was about?
Sure.
So we got into a little argument because some of you may not know this, but I own a video production company with my brother, and we do video production. We were shooting some content for a client, and I was showing her some of the behind the scenes footage, and she was giving me feedback on something that I said, and I took the feedback like it was inaccurate, right? Because you was telling me I wouldn't suggest you give direction like this. And my argument was, well, I didn't give direction. I gave an option, right? And we were going back and forth with, is direction and option the same thing? Do they mean the same thing? Because direction to me is me directing you to do something. Hey, you need to do this for XYZ reasons. That's a directive, right? Like, I'm telling you, I'm directing you on what to do. And what I had told the client was, hey, if you choose to, make sure you keep in mind to do this so that we don't have to start shooting again. So that was a choice to me. That was an option. And the argument started where she wouldn't back down, and she would say, no, you told her what to do. You told her if she does this, then she needs to do this. That's direction. And I was saying, no, I gave her an option. I said, you can stay the way you are the whole entire shoot. However, if you choose to move, make sure you're mindful of your hands and do X, Y, Z. So that's an option to me. That's not a directive. I'm not directing you to do something. I'm not telling you to do something. I'm saying if you choose to. You don't have to. You can stay exactly how you are. Don't change anything. You're perfect. But if you choose to, keep this in mind. So we were going back and forth where I kept saying, that's an option. That's a choice.
Wait, I have to give
That's not
my
a
point so they can
direction.
see what happened. So I was coming from the angle that I was trying to give constructive criticism, because we do that for each other. Like, in my, you tell me how I can be better, and I tell you how you can be better. So we were not fighting. It was not like that. We were just talking. And because he heard something that triggered him for some reason, the words, he got stuck on the meaning of the words. And to me, not to me, and the dictionary of the United States of English speaking America, direction, hold on, direction
I
means,
dispute that because under
but
the,
let me
I
finish.
know, but I just want to touch on that real quick.
I just want to see that he didn't let me finish my sentence. I'm
Under
just saying.
the dictionary, the Webster dictionary, I can assure you that under the definition of direction, you will not see the same exact words or even a synonym comparing that's the same as option. Option is a choice. A direction is being told what to
That
do.
wasn't the argument,
But
though.
go ahead, proceed.
The argument was that you felt you were not giving direction. That was the whole argument. So this is how silly it was, guys. So you were stuck on the fact that you did not give direction. And I said to you, as this is you, what you do is you give direction. You are a production company. People are paying you so that for your expertise, and you're behind the camera, so you're looking to see how the person is. So if I'm paying you for whatever the job is, I'm expecting you to give me direction, because that is your job. So, right, if I'm in focus, if I'm in frame, if I look silly, if whatever, if I can do something different, that is your job. So I wasn't understanding why that was such a trigger for you. And then you got stuck on the words. You're like, but it wasn't a direction, and it was an option, and it was a choice, and all these other words came out. And at the end of the day, It didn't matter. We literally started shouting like
Oh
hyenas.
yeah,
It was
it
bad.
got bad.
But it hasn't, we haven't done that in so long.
Hmm.
So when you went into the bathroom and I was like, what just happened there? I was so upset at myself for I was upset at you, but I was more upset at myself. Like I was like, just you that you could have done better. Like
I was
I could have diffused that,
I was also mad
you
and
know?
pissed
Did you even
at the same
did you
time.
reflect after or did it take you a day?
No, afterwards I was just like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Why are we fighting over
So
something so
that's
silly?
so that's where what I'm saying. That's not godly, right? That goes back to the darkness. It's like the devil's in the middle and he's like amping us up to get heated and more heated and more heated. And to our point that what we're trying to relay here is that walk away. If it gets to screaming, if it gets to wanting to call people out of their name, which we don't do, but it was just like we were just screaming our
Hmm.
points. Like I was like, direction, that's your job, and you were like, that's not direction.
That's not direction. It
It
was
was
a
so funny.
choice. It was a choice. I
It
gave the
it's
option.
so silly because it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So and he knows that I was trying to help him, and I could have walked away. And I think that being
And
able to reflect on that after, if okay, so if you walk away, however that you walk away, and you cannot reflect on what you did as your part in that argument, you have some work to do,
I think
right? You
yeah.
agree?
Yeah, I agree. But I think the biggest part of that argument that we had was what I touched on earlier, which was like listening.
Right.
Sometimes I could have heard what you had to say, and I didn't have to respond to it. I could have just taken it and okay, I'll keep it in mind. It wasn't that serious for me to sit here and like,
But it bothered you. So if it bothers you, you should
yeah,
say something.
and vice versa. And maybe you could have also been like, you know what, it's not that serious. If he thinks it's an option, let him be. Let me go
Right,
shower.
right, right.
So
But
some things don't require a response.
but it's so many things, so many times that this is what happens. So these are the silly
Fights,
arguments that get people divorced.
yeah,
And it's
or
just like
people to get fired or lose a job or
or start swinging and start
get
being physical.
physical. You know,
Please just let's not
no,
do
you never
that.
want to get physical. Even
Yeah.
obviously not with your wife or your husband, but even if you're like at work or
Yeah.
fighting with a brother or sister or whatever,
Yeah.
you never physical is not never the solution.
Right.
But it's very important to self-reflect, and it's also very important to listen and not in some cases have to respond or have to respond at that moment. You can
Right.
respond later, respond the next day. um, Somebody has to be the bigger person, and if both of you can be the bigger person and both of us can be the bigger person, great. But
It's
at least
usually
one of us
one.
has
Yeah,
to,
it's usually
because
one.
you can't sit here and try to prove a point in the heat of the moment.
You know what it is? It's ego.
And sometimes we're both right, right? Because it could be subjective.
Hmm.
You know, this is gonna be like probably a bad example, but there isn't one tone of blue
Hmm.
or red. You got light blue, dark blue, the tealish color, like baby blue. So sometimes it's okay. Both people can be right or both people can be wrong. No one's gonna back down at that moment. No one's gonna admit to that. So that's when someone has to be like, it is what it is. That doesn't mean you took a L. That just
Hmm.
means we can revisit this conversation
Right.
at a later date or a later point.
Yeah.
Because like I said, people are going to fight regardless.
Hmm.
You're going to fight. You're going to argue. There's going to be disagreements. No one's perfect. You know, how do you navigate through that is the key. And how do you get past it without crossing that line?
So I think also, I know people have heard this, but it's so true because we try to live by this, is don't go to sleep angry.
You actually made me embedded that into me, because I
Yeah.
used to be one to go to sleep angry all the time when we
Yeah. Well,
first
you used
met.
to stay angry for days and weeks, which is, I don't know.
She
That's a
used to
lot.
she used to be like, "Don't be mad. I don't want to go to sleep mad." I'm like, "Well, I'm still not happy, so that makes no sense. What are we gonna do here?"
So that right there, right? So you're harboring that energy within, right? It takes, people don't understand if you really dissect when you're upset, how much energy it's draining. It's as actual work. Like people have studied this, that it's just like making a frown takes more facial muscles than smiling. Smiling is so much easier. And you have to actually put in work to frown, to look mad, to look angry, to look upset, and versus just smile.
But okay, so this is an honest question for you because you're just organically that type of person. How are you able to not go to sleep mad over something that made you extremely mad an hour ago? That's a skill in itself.
I've been asked this question a lot, because we've overcome so many things together, and I think that it's my love for you because I don't forget. I never forget that. Like I'm like, oh my god, he makes me so
But
angry
how does that stay on the forefront of your mind when you're still like
because
super mad?
and I know people have always asked me this. I think it's my faith because I know that you're not out to get me. I know that you're not out to hurt me. You are my safe place. So if I can still, I'm not a robot, so things do upset me, right?
Yeah.
But because I love you so much, my love for you is unconditional. There's no conditions to the love I have for you, and I know that it's reciprocated, and I know you love me so much that that's what I go to, right? And I'm just like, why are we fighting? This is so silly. I don't want to do it anymore. Like I wish I could just like press a button and we're both fine instantly. Because that's why I get over things
That's very
quickly.
tough to do because I love you just as much. And for many years, I could go to sleep angry, no problem. That didn't mean I
But
loved you any less.
you conditioned yourself to do that because you used to do that before I met you. So it's like you were like untraining your body
Okay,
and your mind
so
to do something different.
for people that struggle with that, how do you suggest they work on the conditioning
Like to
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 get
relearn.
to relearn and not be that way?
You have to look at your partner, right? So I think it's because you didn't do this with the previous people you had relationships with, right? So and you were able to do it with me. So I would ask you, right, what um I've lost it.
You tend to lose your train of thought frequently lately. Guys, if you know
I
it,
have so many things to say.
guys, we've been filming for about 20
I
minutes
have
now.
allergies, sorry.
She's lost her train of thought about three
Twice.
times.
It's happened twice.
Okay.
I have so many thoughts. I have so much research in my brain.
Wow.
Um
This is
I'm
unedited.
sorry.
This is unedited
But you
and
asked me a question.
unscripted.
Let me answer the
So
question first. Let's one thing after another. What did you say? What did you ask me?
I said for the people that struggle with having that ability or being able to do that, how do you recommend they embrace that into their relationship and into their life? How do you give them some, at least like one or two things they can do that can eventually help them not be that way, not be the person to hold a
To
grudge,
stay angry?
not be the person to stay angry, try to go to
Okay.
sleep in a better mood so that you can wake up in a better mood and you can start a new day, like a legit new day and not a continuance from the day before.
I think my faith is what drives me. It's what drives everything I do because
So do you say a prayer? Like,
so I
do you
talk
reach
to
out?
God
Do you reach out to a friend? You phone a
sometimes.
friend for an answer? Or?
Sometimes. But I feel like my faith is what drives me. Like it's what keeps me whole and it's what keeps me sane. So if I know that I'm like I talk to myself, right after that fight, I lay down and I was like, why did I do that? Like why did I shout and why did I say all these things? I should have just walked out. If anything, if I was like so emotional, like so like I couldn't even, I should have just been like, I need a minute, it's fine, and walked out respectfully. Like don't just like walk out when someone's speaking. That's also disrespectful, right? And then it'll make the other person angry. I think it's my faith to answer your question. I think God is so important in my life because we are pieces of him, right? We are made in his image. And when you remember that and you understand in your mind and your heart what that means, that's how I know how deeply you love me and how much I love you and how much I respect you. So like me shouting and trying to make my point even more clear, which obviously at that point no one's listening because we're like I said, we're talking past each other. I think your faith, I think it's because you're like in an elevated situation.
I think it becomes
You can, I know this sounds silly, but if you can just put something like a softer music, like just take yourself completely out of that.
and I think it becomes easier as time passes because if you're able to have or establish open communication with that other person, again, your wife, your husband, your boss, your employees, if you're able to build and establish open communication with each other, then you're able to have those types of conversations without letting them have you, without letting them take over you.
Like getting them escalated to that
Right,
point.
right. Because
Right, but I think
sometimes not having open communication, and then when you finally get into a fight, you don't know how to communicate. So
yes,
now you're
because you're
like
exploding at that point.
you're exploding. You're doing the most. You're trying to get your point across. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
And now you're just trying to win the argument, not the
Right.
battle. Which essentially down the line can have you lose the battle, whether it's lose your job, lose your marriage, lose whatever,
You lose the relationship.
lose the relationship. So I guess the core and the key foundation of it would be to build and maintain an open communication. Okay, some conversations are hard to have them anyways. Again, be wise on how you have them and what words you utilize to have them, but they still have to be had.
So yes, I agree.
And then that will make it easier, so that when a bigger fight comes in play and a bigger argument comes in play, now you've trained your brain to like navigate through the communication process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And keep it at a level where you can still argue about it, right? Because you don't have to agree on everything, but still be able to bring it back and seal the deal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, arguments will always happen, but we need to focus more on the solution to the argument, not who's right and who's wrong.
But I think, yes, I agree with that. And I think that coming back to it, you need to speak about it. It's not like walk away and then never talk about it and that's the solution. That's not the solution. The solution is being able to come back to each other, whether it's later in the day. Highly recommend for it to be the same day if it's possible. This was late at night when we argued, so you know, we just kind of like woosawed and just like, went to sleep and woke up the next day, and we did talk about it and we were fine. And I said, we both apologized. And
And
I think
fighting, I just want to make sure. I'm sorry to cut you off, but fighting's normal. Some people think that, oh my God, we fight too much, we're not meant to be together. That could be the case sometimes, but fighting's very normal. It's just, if you really think about it, it's two different point of views.
right.
It's two different perspectives.
Yeah.
Some
You're learning life together and you're in two different people.
In some cases, you may be wrong and I may be right, or vice versa. Or in some cases, we could probably both be right or both be wrong. It's all subjective. It's all a point of view. So it's normal. It is normal. And you have to grow on it. You have to build on it. You have to figure out a way to talk about it if you really value that other person.
Right.
If you value that, if it's your mother, and you value those conversations with your mother, or you fight a lot with your mother, if it's your wife, if it's your kid, if it's your employee, boss, if you value the person that you're fighting with or you're arguing with, then you have to figure out a way to make it work. And that doesn't necessarily mean compromising what you believe, right? Because some people just be like, I just don't want to argue anymore. It's fine. You're right. I'm wrong. That's the wrong way to do it. Because now that's just going to keep building inside.
Right.
And eventually you're going to explode.
because-
A, or B, that person is just going to always think they're right. And now you're just setting yourself up for failure moving forward. So you have to be able to establish an open source of communication where both of you can say your piece and walk away.
I don't think it's important who's right. I don't know if I understood what you said correctly,
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I think that I don't think that's important, and I think that's why people stay stuck in loops of arguments and fights and things like that.
Well, that's what I said. It's not about who's right or wrong. It's
Right.
about understanding each other.
Well, no, because you said you might, if you don't say anything, then the other person's gonna think they're right.
Well,
I don't think that's important.
Well, maybe that wasn't the right choice
I think
of words.
it's the person that's not saying anything is suppressing their emotions, and that's not good. You should never suppress yourself. Right. That's not. You're supposed to be in this union where you can safely say your piece The other person says their piece. And if you get into an argument, know when to walk away because you know you're not getting through to each other. Come back together later on. Don't let days go by. That's silly. That takes too much energy. That's robbing you from your relationship. That's giving way to the devil in your relationship. And that's just not the way to do it. The other thing is ego, right? Which is why you want to say your piece, or I wanted to say my piece so bad because I was like, I'm right and I know I'm right and I can prove it. And here's the reason. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, that was so stupid. It doesn't matter. It's just ego, because ego, you're not operating from the heart. You're operating from the mind, and which is not always bad. But in this case, when you're fighting with someone, it's like it's all about you, right? And it's not about us. So because reason why I can get over things so quickly when we argue is because I know you and I know your heart, and I know that whatever we were arguing about isn't more important than our union, than our marriage, than the love I have for you. So I'm just like, it doesn't matter. And in the grand scheme of life, this is such a small argument that usually is about something silly. So it doesn't matter.
So, no, you're right. I agree 100%. And for those out there that are probably going through these challenges and that have experienced this in the past and weren't able to get past it, my advice to them would be be open-minded, okay? When you fight with someone or when you argue with someone, let them talk, let them get it out their system, then respond, okay? Raising your voice and talking over each other isn't a solution either.
So what do
The
you
loudest
do?
person don't necessarily win.
Right. And what do you do what do you say to someone that says, well, my partner never shuts up? It's like if you let them talk, they'll talk for 3 hours. And then it's like that's where they're trying to interject,
Well,
right?
you have to know your partner. You have to know how to communicate with them. And if you don't know your partner, then you have bigger issues. Now you should seek professional help.
Right.
Together.
Therapy works so well.
Together,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm not saying one or the other. Together, you should go see someone professional and elaborate on, this person doesn't let me get 2 words out, or whatever the case may be. So therefore, we fight all the time. But in the ideal world, you wanna let each other say your piece and then come back to it, right? Address it, validate it, and then agree to disagree, or agree to agree, or agree to something and move past it. Because again, the fights will always happen. It's how you navigate through them that will help you be successful.
Yeah. And I want to add, I feel this is really important, and this is something people miss, is that when, like, for example, I know what buttons you have, that if I press them, you're going to go off. So I don't press them. Because I feel like that's conniving, and that's just evil.
Well, that's not gonna help.
I don't feel like that ever helps, right? If I'm just like, because at that point I'm trying to make my point so hard that it's at your expense. So now I'm trying to prove something to whom I'm not sure, because it's just you. So then why would I hurt your feelings on purpose?
Yeah.
But people do this a lot. That's when people start calling people out of their name. That's when people start throwing jabs, that start hitting below the belt. And I feel like we need to grow out of that as a society. That makes me sad, because
And the yelling and raising your voice.
right.
Right.
Usually when you yell, now you're not saying anything nice.
Well, no.
Ever.
Well, that, and then the person that you're yelling to is gonna find a need to yell back, because now they feel like they have to be at your level.
Disrespected, and then it's like you're both disrespecting each other at that point.
Right. So like if you're yelling at someone, that person's not gonna come in a soft tone and say, "Hey, listen, I know you're upset." They're gonna want to yell back organically. Just it's very tough for you to get yelled at and not yell back.
Right.
So as soon as you take it there, now you're just going another level.
But with the same token, I feel like, because you just said that, be the bigger person. It takes so much heart to walk away, even if you know 1,000,000% you're right. You're like, I am right. I know it in my heart and my soul. Just walk away.
Walk away and come back to it.
Yes.
Not walk away and disregard it.
Right.
Walk away, come back to it, You know, we're both very affectionate. You probably a little more than me, but sometimes we fight, and I'll just, you know, hours later, either you'll come and give me a hug, or you still mad at me, or I'll come and give you a hug and give you a kiss. You know, you
Yes.
still mad at me, or you'll call me if you're out. Hey, I'm grabbing this. You want anything? I might say a smart comment and be like, "Oh, I thought you were still mad at me,"
Right, right.
and we just move past
And
it.
I think that's so important because I was telling you this the other day, is that I can be really mad at you at something that we were having like a heated argument about, and I still care if you ate. I still care if you're okay. Like I don't want anything to happen to you. You know, it's like people stay so in this cloud of like
Anger.
anger and hatred, and I'm like, hold on, did you forget this is the love of your life?
Yeah.
This is the person you love. This is the person that you feel safe with. This is the person that you hug at night, that you wake up to in the
Like
morning,
even the
that you
day
have
after,
kids with.
the day after we got into that fight, you was texting me, "What do I want to eat?"
Yeah.
And I was just still cold. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing.
He'll put a thumbs up. Oh my
Oh
God, I hate
yeah.
those
Or
thumbs
she'll be like,
up.
what time you coming home?" And I'll just put a number
Yeah.
or
Because we don't text like that.
or IDK. I don't know. So she can tell I was still upset,
Yeah.
but I wasn't ignoring her.
Right.
I was
Right.
still
And that was your part. You could have ignored
I
me
could
and you
have ignored
didn't.
her, and I could have been like, "I'm mad at her. I don't want nothing. It doesn't matter."
Yeah.
But I was basically letting her know, which was kind of childish of me, also letting her know
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
I was letting her know I was still upset,
Yeah.
but
But you didn't want to talk about it.
but I didn't want to talk about it, or
Right.
no, I wasn't hungry or whatever. I was being
Yeah.
short. But at the end of the day, you have to be an adult,
Right.
right? A responsible adult. And if you're a responsible adult in a relationship, that with someone you love, you have to reflect that.
Right.
You can't overnight just hate someone unless they do something like extremely, extremely like wrong.
Yeah.
And even then, I mean, hate's a tough word to use, you know.
Yes.
But yeah, at the end of the day, communication is key. People need to focus on winning, right? For lack of a better term, the overall situation, not what you're fighting about. Because what
So
you're
not the
fighting,
argument. The
not the
argument is not the
argument,
important part.
not the topic, not the subject.
Mm-hmm.
You want to win in life. And in
Mm-hmm.
order for you to win in life and to win in your relationships with
Mm-hmm.
your kids, your family, your wife, your husband, you have to win as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
meaning together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like I said, fights will always happen. You just it's just impossible for you to not fight.
Right.
You
But I
know,
think that having those things that you don't do, like they're just a hard no. I'm not gonna call you out of your name. I'm not gonna hit below the belt. I'm not gonna push the buttons.
so
I
like a
know.
baseline of
Yeah.
principles not to cross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously not get physical.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Not disrespect each other.
Right.
You know, you can argue and you can disagree. You can
Yeah.
say what you want to say. Listen, I don't agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% disagree with you.
Yeah.
But if that's what you believe, that's on you. And your response could be, well, why do you disagree with me?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being like, well, you're wrong and I'm right. Well,
Yeah.
that's what it is. That's what I read. That's what I saw. You know, how about validating and say, all right, well, you don't agree with me. How come?
Mm-hmm.
What's your perspective on it? That's called open communication. That's called a conversation.
Yep.
You know, that's called a two-way street.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where society nowadays and a lot of people just lack that and gets taken out of context or the wrong way when things get said. And I don't want to get too deep into this. This will be a topic for a whole nother episode that we're planning on. But let's touch real quick on like Charlie Kirk, for example. A lot of people probably weren't in disagreements with things he said, but they just didn't like his delivery.
Mm-hmm.
He was very direct.
He was very direct.
He was very right, matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
and he was very confident in things that he said. He knew the scriptures like the back of his hand, and he would tell you in which book and which chapter, which verse, what was said.
Yes.
So that made him confident, and that made him a very matter of fact person.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes when he used to go to these debates, he would get right to it,
Yeah.
and some people just didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that what he was saying was wrong or was inaccurate. It was just probably the words he was choosing to say it, and the tone he was using to say it, and maybe the way he was saying it, maybe even his face impression when he was saying it. I don't know. I didn't really follow him that much, as much as you did. But I say that to say that the words you use, the delivery you use, is just as impactful as the tone and everything else. It's a combination
Yes.
of everything. You know,
Yeah.
you can tell somebody to go kick rocks. At the end of the day, you're still telling them to kick rocks, but depending on how you tell them that, depends on how they're going to take it.
Right.
You know, if they're
Right.
going to take it with a smile and be like, this guy's funny. Oh, man, why is he talking to me like that? Oh, man, this guy's rude. There's so many different ways that something can get delivered.
Right.
And I feel like it's very important to know your partner, right? Know who you're arguing with, and kind of take a step back and say, all right, let me revisit this conversation later, because I don't think I'm going to get my point across now.
Right.
You know, there's nothing I can say. There's no tone, no way I can say it that it's gonna hit.
I think that controlling your emotions is so important versus letting your emotions control you. I think that it's always the opposite, right? Emotions are controlling us. So then it's like, that's where you're like a sword, you're like a hurricane of emotions. And this can go so left to where you're hurting the person and that you're supposed to be loving and in a marriage with or in a relationship with. And if you stop for a second, if that's the hard part, is to stop in the moment because you're like all heated and all riled up for whatever reason, whatever you're arguing about, and say, I'm just going to sit this one out. Just try it. Whatever, it doesn't matter what you're arguing about. I'm sure that maybe you are correct. Taking the high road, it just will it will give you so much peace. I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather have peace than be right. Think about it. Think about that concept. Do you want to be fighting in fighting mode all the time if you had to choose? Or would you rather be right?
And
If you rather be right, then you need to check your mind and your spirit, because you're operating out of ego. And this is what I was going to share earlier. Ego, EGO, right? Edging God out. Little by
that's what ego
little,
stands for.
little by little, what's his name? My friend, we love listening to him. What's his name? Wayne Dyer.
The late great Wayne Dyer.
Oh man, I wish I could have met him in person. If you guys have never heard his stuff, you need to
Look him up. He's very motivational.
He is the way he speaks, the way he articulates.
Who put you onto him?
You did. He was such a magnificent human being. And he always said that. He was like, when you're speaking out of ego, when you're operating out of ego, you're edging God out. Little by little, it's kind of like you're saying, like, I don't need you right now. I don't need you today. And think about what that means. Think about the faith that you hold in your heart and in your life. You don't want to do that. So just take the high road. Just walk away.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter.
And
you can come back to it. Come back to it when you guys are like in a more settled space, train of thought, and now you can have a conversation versus an argument.
And that's part of self-awareness, self-reflection. And the last thing I want to touch on is it's okay to apologize.
Yes.
It's okay to say sorry.
Yes.
Saying sorry doesn't make you any less of a person. It doesn't mean you lost the battle.
Right.
Doesn't mean you lost anything. It's just acknowledging maybe that you might have said something, or that maybe you offended the other person, or that maybe just, listen, sorry, I should have never brought that up. We can talk about this some other time. Maybe sorry because it's not the right time. So just saying the word sorry doesn't mean anything in a negative aspect, right? If anything, I feel it's like it's a positive way to kind of just deflect and move into something else. All right, listen, I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. Or I'm sorry, it came out the wrong way. Or I'm sorry, now's not the right time. Let's talk about this some other time. Yeah. So sometimes just hearing those words can also deflect the argument. A lot of people struggle with saying the word sorry because they feel like when they say sorry, they feel defeated. They feel like they were wrong. They feel like it was their fault. whatever it may be. And that's not necessarily the case. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that being able to apologize, like when we're arguing or we had an argument about something, it means it's again, it's my peace is so important to me. So I love our life. We have such a blessed life and such a happy life, and I feel like I love you so much that
Oh, I love you too.
that when like we're like the next day or hours later, I can come to you and I'll just hug you. And that's like my or I'll say sorry. And I feel like it's like you can feel it because it's genuine. I don't even think, I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Do you feel that I'm sorry? Like you're just like, or you just like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, no. I,
Like
f-
what do you feel from a guy's perspective?
I feel like you want to move past it. You're sorry, and it was stupid, and let's not argue about that again. Let's
So
move
for
forward.
men that were really in the relationship where it's easier for the woman because we're more emotional, so I can see how sometimes, not all or most, but sometimes women can say sorry faster or
Hmm.
easier than a man.
Hmm.
What does that make? How does that make you feel? To just put it into words, like when I'm sorry, babe, I didn't mean to, that was stupid. I shouldn't have said that. Or can we just get past this?
Yeah, no, that makes me feel validated. It makes me feel like you love me. And because you incorporate that with touch, it validates it even more. Where I know you're not just saying it to say it.
Right.
Because some people just be like, "Listen, I'm sorry. Let's just move past it." But if you come up to that person and you say those words, but you hug them, you give them a kiss, now it just like solidifies that. Like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, let's move past this.
I think fear keeps people from doing things like that. Like being afraid to, like, okay, we had such a heated argument. Now I'm just going to come to you and just like hug you. So then they're afraid that the other person isn't going to receive it in that way. And they're going to feel stupid.
Yeah.
So that fear, right? Again,
But you have to get out of your comfort
where is
zone.
fear coming from?
You have that.
So
You have to get
fear,
out of your comfort zone. You have to know your partner, know the person you're
but do
speaking
you
to.
agree that that comes out of fear?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So then how do people overcome that? Because it's the overcoming is like are like the roadblocks. Why are they there?
I mean,
Or
again,
how do you apologize? Like if I hadn't apologized, how do you make it
well,
better?
I
Like
speak
from a guy's perspective.
I speak your love language. I bring you food. When you're mad at me,
I feel like I stuff you with food.
when you're mad, I just ask you what do you want to eat, or if I know you haven't ate that day, I'll just grab you one of your favorite foods, or um, I I'm a very I try to not be, but you say I am a funny person.
You're
So
hilarious.
I'll send you funny stuff, something that can make you smile and just crack the ice. You know what I mean?
So you find a
I
way.
find a way.
So I like that because
Everybody's
it's
different.
different from mine,
Yeah.
but I still feel it. Like
Yeah.
I still feel the
So
love. Like I'm like, oh, okay,
your
he's
way
not
is
mad
more
anymore.
your way is more affectionate,
Right.
touchy
Because
touchy.
not everyone's affectionate. Some people, it's okay. So everybody's different.
Yeah, my way is more finding what puts a smile on your face. So I know food makes you happy. Um, I know sometimes comedy makes you happy. If I send you a funny video or meme or something, I know you're gonna laugh at it. You know what I mean? So I try to find a way to break the ice, make you crack a smile, and move on to the next thing.
I think that we don't have to complicate it so much. I think that people,
Overthink it.
yeah, well, overthink it and overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
Like I think it's the fixes to things when in your relationship, as long as you love each other, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Stop fighting. There's like a bigger, I don't know how to put this. It's like you're not even fighting about the argument anymore or whatever it was that you guys were talking about. It's like bigger than that.
Right. Well, like we said at the beginning, listen to understand,
Yeah.
not to respond.
Right.
Right. So listen to what's being said. Listen to what is being told.
Right.
If you feel a need to respond and you can respond, go right ahead. But you don't have to respond. But just validate, listen, be heard, hear, and then respond if you need to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's I would say the biggest takeaway. That's probably the one piece of advice I can give someone that's struggling with communication in their relationship.
And I think that if you guys are getting into such a heated argument where now you're doing all the wrong things that we said not to do, like the shouting and the screaming and the now you're getting super close, like it's gonna get physical, you
The
need to
hurtful
seek
words.
you need to seek help. Therapy can help, and marriage counselors, or go to pastors if you go to church. So there's so many avenues that people can take to get help.
Stay away from the internet
Oh God, yes.
as much as you can. Not everyone's preaching positivity. Not everyone's
Right.
preaching advice. Not everyone's preaching.
Don't vent to the internet, please.
There's nothing
That's
worse than you putting a post on social media
yes.
and your
Oh yeah.
friends from high school and a bunch of people that you know that you grew up with just writing their 2 cents in there, and
Yeah.
and then you just feeding off of it.
Yeah. And like I said, whenever I see people vent, I don't even know what they're talking about, but it looks like whatever they're going through. I don't know. I don't really like that. I feel like it just breeds,
Twitter finger
feeds
arguments.
all of the, no, it just brings in so much toxicity because everyone that's ever been in that predicament is going to now harp in and be like, oh yeah, me too. Fuck him, fuck her. La, la, la. Like, and it's like all this negativity. And so then why do you want validation from all the toxicity that has ever been? It's just silly. Like, you don't want that. So I think that if you don't know how to come back from arguments, or you don't know how to tone down when you're that upset, there is such a thing as anger management, right? There are people who need that, because if you're getting angry to levels that you cannot control, you are allowing this emotion to control you. That is a very big problem. And I think that there is help, and you can absolutely grow from it and evolve from it, but you need to understand that is a problem. So
That's all I got. You got anything else?
oh no, wait,
I think we touched on all the bullet points that we wanted to touch on.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
And just so you know, I love you the same, even when we argue.
Oh.
Doesn't go any less anymore. So, in recap, let's give the audience 5 points to keep in mind when they argue. Listen. Not necessarily you need to respond to every argument.
Right.
All right. Some people just want to be heard. Focus on winning the overall battle, not just the argument at that point in time. Because that argument at that point in time, you may win, but it may cause your relationship, or it may cause your job, or it may cause you something else. All right. That's number 2. Voice escalation. Be mindful of the tone and the words that you're using.
Yes.
Because the tone can necessarily immediately trigger something in the other person. The words you're saying can trigger something. So, be mindful of the tone and the words you're using for number 3. It's okay to argue, right? It's nothing. That doesn't mean that person doesn't love you. Arguing is just subjective disagreement. That's all it is. Don't make it more than what it is. Don't overthink it. Don't make a big deal out of it. Say your piece. Let the other person say their piece. Figure out a way to meet in the middle and compromise, because that's what relationships all about: compromising for each other and with each other.
Right.
Right. If not, you'd be alone your whole life doing things your way. And I think lastly, number 5, never get physical.
Right.
Which is the most important one.
Yeah.
Right. Because I don't think there's coming back from that. As soon as you put your hands on each other, now you're on a whole different level of disrespect, whole different level of fighting.
I feel like if it ever gets to that point, everything's out the window. There's no respect, that like anything can happen. And that's very dangerous. And that's why horrible things happen.
Right.
Yeah. So,
And that's all I got. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that was it.
Damn,
Just don't go to bed. Don't go to bed angry.
This was supposed to be like 30 minutes. We've been filming for like 50.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
I know. We've been rambling for like 52
wow.
minutes according to the camera.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. If you liked any part of this, please don't forget to subscribe and share. Leave any comments for future topics you'd like to hear from us. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you disliked. Any feedback is welcome. Be kind. And that's all I got.
Remember, it's okay to fight. Just fight the right way.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
No one's perfect.
Exactly.
All right. Peace.
Bye.